All right, so if you guys haven't already heard, the SEC is starting to crack down on crypto staking. And just like anything else in the crypto space, when news like this breaks, all hell breaks loose across all social media platforms. You get all this misinformation out there, and everyone thinks it's doomsday, that crypto's gonna die, and yada yada. We've seen it so many times. So, what I want to try to do in this video is give you guys some clarity as to what we know exactly from this whole SEC crackdown, what it could mean for crypto. And believe it or not, it's not entirely bad. Now, I'm not advocating for it, but I just want to say there is some silver lining, and I'm going to cover all of that in this video. So to kick us off, I've got a thread from Brian Armstrong, who addressed this yesterday, and he's the CEO of Coinbase. So starting off, he says, we're hearing rumors that the SEC would like to get rid of crypto staking in the US for retail customers. I hope that's not the case, as I believe it would be a terrible path for the US if it was allowed to happen. 2, staking is a really important innovation of crypto. It allows users to participate directly in running open crypto networks. Staking brings many positive improvements to the space, including scalability, increased security, and reduced carbon footprints. 3, staking is not a security. Here is a good primer, and I'll link this thread down below, so if you want to read that primer, you guys can check it out down below. 4, we need to make sure that new technologies are encouraged to grow in the US and not stifled by lack of clear rules. When it comes to financial services and Web3, it's a matter of national security that these capabilities be built out in the US. 5, regulation by enforcement doesn't work. It encourages companies to operate offshore, which is what happened with FTX. 6, hopefully we can work together to publish clear rules in the industry and come up with sensible solutions that protect customers while preserving innovation and national security interests. So Brian brings up a really good point here, and a few good points. And he's talking about how there's really like two aspects of staking, okay? There's staking for a network, which serves a functional purpose on the network. Think of like staking Ethereum. When ETH 2.0 was launched, before it was launched, you had to have Ethereum deposited into the staking contract in order to launch ETH 2.0. That was an absolute necessity in order for that to be a success. So that's a more functional aspect of staking. Now, I'm not a staking expert, so I'm not going to go into the technicals of staking and all these sorts of things. I'll let the experts explain that. But again, that's, in my eyes, I view that as one portion of staking. As again, it's more of a functional aspect of it, and you do get paid interest most of the time, whether it be fees generated or whatever. You earn some interest on that. Then there's staking that you get through like centralized platforms, which is like really just depositing your money, earning interest. And that's because the platform is lending that crypto out. So there's, that's not exactly staking. They hide it under staking in some cases, but it's not exactly staking. And I think from my understanding, that is more what the SEC is targeting here. It's not necessarily targeting all staking, but more like the centralized staking through these platforms that are calling it staking, but really lending people's funds, and it's not, again, it's not really staking. So I think from my understanding, and again, we don't have a ton of information on what exactly the SEC is looking at, but I think that is what they're trying to differentiate. From my understanding, they're not targeting directly the functional aspect of staking. Because if they were, obviously, again, that's going to be a huge change. That is a big deal for the crypto space because, again, a lot of projects operate based on staking. Like, that is a fundamental piece of the network. It, again, secures the network. It encourages people to participate. There's a lot of reasons why a network would include staking as a fundamental, really like pillar of the network. So again, in my eyes, there's like two pieces to it. So, again, you take that with a grain of salt because we don't know exactly what the SEC is saying here. But again, Brian does bring up some good points here that, like, look, if you start outlawing crypto staking, it's not like it just goes away, right? Like, it doesn't just end. It's not like the US is the only place people are staking crypto. And it's naive to think that. It's not going to end if the US bans it. What's going to happen is, just like he says here, like the FTX case, and what we see with a lot of exchanges, is they'll pop up offshore. And US customers will find a way still to participate in that staking via VPNs or whatever else it is. And while no, it's not legal, they still do it. We saw that with the FTX fiasco. Same deal there. And again, it doesn't actually fix the problem. What Brian, I think, is trying to say here is that what would actually fix the problem is if we come up with good regulation that understands what is happening here, that understands crypto staking, the purpose it serves, and define really good, parameters, draw the lines as to what can and can't be done with staking. Don't just come in there with a hammer and start swinging it around. So again, I really do think that Brian makes some really good points there. Now, today, it was just announced that the U.S., the SEC, fined Kraken $30 million for staking, and Kraken also agreed to end its staking products in the U.S. Now, I have an article here from Reuters that we're going to read through that's going to explain what exactly is going on there. And again, it kind of builds on what Brian was talking about in his thread. So, crypto exchange Kraken agreed to shut down its cryptocurrency staking service and pay $30 million in penalties to settle U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission charges that it failed to register the program. The agency said on Thursday that it moved in a move that caused headaches for the platform with similar offerings. So again, this is really the big thing that this whole situation stemmed from. Apparently, Coinbase was approached by the SEC, and Kraken failed to register, which is kind of a separate thing here, right? Like you've got a lot going on in this, and that's why it's sort of so convoluted. And I think where the misinformation comes up is not everybody totally understands it. And again, I'm not trying to sound like an expert here. I don't know every in and out of this, but from my understanding, this whole Kraken situation was more of a secluded thing that the business didn't register with the SEC, this product with the SEC like it should have, which is the reason it's getting shut down. It's not necessarily staking itself that they're banning here from Kraken. It's more the fact that Kraken didn't take the legal steps. Now, is that Kraken's fault, or is that the fact that the SEC has just had these really big gray areas that nobody really knows how to operate in? I'm going to say it's probably the latter here. I don't necessarily think it's Kraken's fault, but we're not seeing the same thing with Coinbase, at least yet. So at least they knew to do this, at least. Again, it's very convoluted. It's a little bit of a mess, but again, I kind of view this as another separate thing. This is between the SEC and Kraken. It's not necessarily the SEC and staking. The settlement marks the SEC's first crackdown on staking, a common service offered at both centralized and decentralized crypto exchanges, including most of the major exchanges in the U.S., such as Coinbase and Binance US. In a video message posted on Twitter on Thursday, SEC Chair Gary Gensler said that most staking providers fail to provide customer proper disclosures on how a company is protecting a user's staked assets. Those providers should register their staking services with the SEC, Gensler added. So again here, not advocating for the SEC, but this isn't, everyone is viewing this as an attack on staking, when really this is the SEC trying to draw the lines on staking, I believe. I don't think that they're moving towards a ban on staking, but more or less trying to define what needs to be done. There needs to be disclosures to the customers as to what exactly is happening with their funds, what protections are there, which I think is actually fair. Because again, it's not Coinbase and these other companies, at least from my understanding, they're doing it the right way, but there are companies that try to hide, interest earning or interest bearing crypto accounts under the term staking when it's not really staking, it's lending your funds. And then they end up blowing up, like you saw with the BlockFi and Celsius and all these other places. I don't know if they called it staking there. I'm not saying that they did or didn't, but that's the same idea, right? That business model tends to hide under the term staking, and it's not really staking. So I think what the SEC is trying to do is they're trying to break out disclosures or have these platforms give disclosures to customers so they know exactly what is happening with their funds when they put it in the staking accounts. When a company or platform offers you these kind of returns, whether they call their service lending, earn, rewards, API, or staking, that relationship should come with the protections of the federal securities law, Gensler said. So again, those are all popular terms that we've seen across the board with it really every exchange. You've seen these words before, and a lot of people view them synonymously. They think of them as sort of the same thing when they are not the same thing, not technically. Owners of crypto assets that use proof of stake blockchains can stake some of their assets to potentially take part in the process of validating transactions in exchange for their work. Validators are often rewarded with newly created crypto assets. So this goes back to the fundamental piece of staking, right? Like this sort of staking is for the network. It serves a purpose. It's not just to earn money. Now, granted, that's why people are typically depositing money, is that hopes of earning money. But again, it serves a fundamental purpose for the network as opposed to just an interest-bearing account. Kraken offers its customers the ability to stake certain crypto tokens in order to earn rewards. Its website advertises that users can earn up to 20% in annual yield if they pledge to lock up their asset for a certain period of time. I would be really interested to see if, again, this is actual staking. Like, are they taking that crypto and staking it with the network, or are they lending this crypto out? That's what I want to see. I'm very curious as to see how Kraken is treating these funds, because, again, that makes a big difference here. The San Francisco-based platform did not admit or deny the allegations in the SEC's complaint. In a statement, Kraken said its agreement to end its on-chain staking service would affect only U.S. clients. So I guess it is on-chain. So I kind of answered my question there. And that most assets enrolled in its program by users would be automatically unstaked starting on Thursday. But again, they call it on-chain staking. I don't know. I don't mean to keep beating down this rabbit hole, but I want to see exactly where these funds are going. Like if I press the button to stake my funds on, on Kraken, were they immediately going into and being deposited on chain into the staking contract? Like, is that what was going on? They call it on chain, or was there just kind of like a pool of money partially staked? You earn interest on that partially, they lend the rest. Like, how does that work? Again, I'm just playing a little bit naive here. I'm not exactly sure how that works. They could have been totally in the right and doing it all on chain. I'm not super familiar with that product. In a series of tweets on Wednesday, Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong set a ban on blah, blah, blah. We read that. So there you guys have it. The staking in the Kraken form got cracked down on, but it wasn't necessarily aimed directly at staking. It's more or less defining the lines, which is where I think the silver lining is here. I don't view all crypto regulation as bad. Contrary to popular belief, it's not all bad. Now, do I think the government has a habit of rushing in uninformed and making a bunch of rules and then later having to change those rules because they made uninformed decisions? Yes, I think that is a very real possibility, and that's what I worry about, is that they come in here, again, swinging a hammer at something they don't understand and cause, problems in crypto because they're making laws that don't make any sense. But I think if they come in here with a scalpel and they really take the time to make precise and good legislation around crypto, and defining crypto regulation, I think that's a good thing. I think that will make companies feel more comfortable getting involved in this space. I think, developers, you'll see that will be like a sort of sigh of relief on them because they'll know if their business is operating legally or not, because that is the huge gray area that we have in crypto right now. And even though we had a really crazy, great bull market in the crypto space, there was still that thought in the back of everyone's mind, right? Is this business actually legal? Are NFTs securities? Is crypto securities? Like, what is the security? Like, what are we defining crypto as? Like, what is happening here? And I think most people are on the side of no, it's not a security, but we need them to come out and tell us that. We need to know, like, what are the laws here? Like, what can we do to build a legal business in this space? Because I don't, crypto's not going away. That's very clear, but we need to know what the rules are specifically, and making sure that those rules make sense are super, super important. But, really it's going to sting in the short term, right? Because you're going to see this regulation come out and it could affect certain crypto projects, and everyone will, talk about it and they'll be like, oh my God, like, this one crypto project is now illegal and they have to change their business model. Like, regulation is terrible. But ultimately what is happening is that we'll be laying the foundation for next cycle, which I think is a really big deal. And it'll be a more solid foundation than what we've had in the past. Because obviously, just like we saw last year, the foundation was not very stable. We had a house of cards in the crypto space. So making sure that we're building that foundation out of a solid, concrete to move along with the metaphor. Like that's important, right? To have that strong foundation. That way you can really build sustainable businesses on in this ecosystem. That's really how crypto will move forward and become more mainstream. So again, guys, just wanted to make this video for you, kind of give my 2 cents, read through what we know so far, and hopefully give you guys some clarity on what exactly is going on with staking and everything else. So if this is your guys' first time to the channel, please like and subscribe. And with that being said, I will see you all next time.